Now I know some of you are tuning in and you're probably saying, what? No video? You're just going to talk? Yeah, I'm just going to talk. Is that a problem? If you want to see video, there's plenty of video out there. YouTube is loaded with videos. I think their hard drive must be the size of a warehouse with all the videos they have. But I'm not going to, this is not a video. I don't know how many more videos I'm going to actually make, to be quite honest. I probably will make some videos here and there, but I'm going to start talking. I'm going to specialize in verbal diarrhea. You heard that before? Verbal diarrhea? Verbal diarrhea, there's a market for it. I figured maybe I could tap into that. I started to tap into that last summer on the old channel, Gunnison on the Cover. If some of you have been following me, you remember that? Matt, Tim, and I, we would broadcast from the now closed up Tim Hortons. It started to do well. But that was a video. That was a live stream video, and very well I may start doing some more live stream videos. So, hopefully I'm going to talk about things that you want to hear. I'm kind of targeting the people here locally in Monmouth County, New Jersey. Maybe some of you people far away will relate to what I'm talking about, because I think a lot of these things are systemic nationwide, not just here in Monmouth County, New Jersey, the Jersey Shore. But if you don't want to listen to me talk, you'd rather look at me, I'm impressed. I'm flattered if you want to see me. I really am, considering what I'm turning into. I'd be flattered you want to look at me. But I got videos there if you want to see me talk. And if that's not enough, I can, if you send me your email address, I can maybe email over or send you an autographed picture of me, and you can look at that while I talk. But that's not what it's about anymore. We're gonna start talking about a lot of things, because there's things that I want to talk about that doing on a video is just too encumbersome. You people have no idea what it's like to make these videos, how much time it takes out of your day to make a video. You know, you record it, then you got to go edit it, you got to convert it, you got to stick openings in it. You know, if you want to have a nice product, that's what you got to do. Or you could just be like one of the others that just upload it and let it go. So one of the things I'm being challenged with is what to talk about. There's so many things that I could talk about. I had made a list. I could talk about the free speech, how you have a right to free speech, but do you really have a right to free speech? I have a list. I'm going to go down the list of things I thought I would talk about. Next, I had people you can't talk about. You're not supposed to talk about the police, and you're not supposed to talk about people with mental challenges, and I won't mention the name. Mind viruses. Oh, there's a gazillion mind viruses out there. I could talk about that. I could talk about something really hyper local here. I could talk about a freeholders. You want to hear about that? Some of you may want to hear about that. I could talk about why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm doing this. I think I like an audience. I think you know, somebody else accused me of, I'm just looking to get views and clicks. Well, that's probably the one correct statement, honest statement that she's ever made, that I'm just looking for clicks and views. And you're absolutely 100% right. I want clicks, I want views, I want people to listen to me. I have a message. I could talk about my qualifications. Do I really have qualifications? I don't know. There's a lot of things I could talk about. I could talk about who's interested in listening to me talk. Well, I've looked at the demographics through YouTube, and it looks like pretty much the 45 to 65, 70-year range is what listens to me. So I guess the younger people, they don't really care what's going on. I guess they care if we have too much greenhouse gases. They worry about that. They worry about not having vaccines. I don't know. I'm not young anymore, so I don't, you know, unfortunately, you fall out of touch with what goes on as you get older. It's just the nature of life. So, and then what else? I could talk about the First Amendment movement, where that's going. I don't know. what I would really talk about. But I kind of decided early this morning, because I was awake about 5 o'clock this morning, I couldn't sleep, and I knew I was going to do this broadcast, and I had to come up with an idea as to what I was going to talk about. And I really decided I was going to talk about the First Amendment movement, since most of you are here because you're interested in those kind of videos. And we know what most of those videos are. I've done a few of them. I haven't done any in a long time. I really have no drive to do that anymore. But, you know, a lot of you out there, you know, most of these videos, I watch them now. There's a gazillion First Amenders out there. It's hard to keep up with. All the big channels are trying to promote somebody. Here, support this person, support that person. How many people am I supposed to support? There's only so many hours in a day for me to watch videos. And the videos all come down to the same thing. Somebody goes out, points a camera at a cop or a public official, and we're all waiting for that person to have a negative interaction. Let's be honest. That's what we're all looking for. I'm looking for it when I watch it. I'm looking for that negative interaction between the camera guy and the public official. We're all waiting to see if that person's going to get arrested. What's going to happen? Is he going to educate the public official? Is he going to get arrested? And then we got to follow that. And then that First Amendment is going to get on there begging for money. Oh, I got arrested. Please help me. Please help me. Well, maybe some of the newer guys who don't have not monetized, maybe it'd be nice to help them. But the bigger guys out there that have 80,000 viewers, subscribers, 50,000 subscribers. You got that one guy out there. We all know who he is. You know, it's the one you don't want around playgrounds. He's got like 140,000 though. I think his numbers are going down. He's making a lot of, these people are making a lot of money off their videos. So why would I want to send them money? They're making money off their AdSense. I know what the kind of money you make. My other channel, Gunnison Undercover, was making money. It wasn't making a lot. It was making $200 a month or so. It paid my phone bill. Paid my car insurance. But it's always the same thing with these First Amendment videos. It's all the same thing, and it's getting old. It's been going on. I've been watching them now for 4 years. It's getting old now. It's like cops are getting wise to it. So I guess in some respects, our job is nearing completion, because I know here in Monmouth County, most of the cops all know about it, and they don't react negatively anymore. They may not like it, but they're not jumping out of the car and body slamming you on the ground. So if that's what you're looking for, you like that, you know, I could recommend several people out there you could go watch. High Des Community Watch, I think he does a great job, you know. I do see a trend that's going on that I don't particularly care for, where they get on there. I was watching James Freeman, who I happen to have a lot of respect for him, but he had some guy with him, and they were somewhere, I don't know where it was at, but it's usually it's the same storyline. They're somewhere, and oh, I know, it was that they were at a federal courthouse, I think it was, and the marshal came out and started yelling. A black guy come out, and he's like trying to scare him by rushing at him, and the guy that's with James Freeman is yelling at him and calling him names and things like that. And you know, and I posted a message on there, and I said, James, I love what you do. You do great work, but lose the big mouth. And I see that's the trend going on now, that you have to, there's a lot of auditors out there that want to yell at these people, and that's not my MO. I don't operate like that. I went on audit with some other people one time at a prison, and one of the guys that came along started yelling at the people and calling them princess and names like that, and I didn't approve of that. The situation got out of control. It's like, you know, you have to remember, those are people too, and they're going to respond accordingly when they're berated and called names and things like that. And I don't think that does the First Amendment community any good at all. I think you should go out there and you should be polite. If they're polite to you, you're polite to them, and if they're not polite to you, you still maintain your professionalism about the job. Just because they act like jerks don't mean you as an auditor or the auditor has to act like a jerk. And the other thing goes on with First Amendment. One of the reasons, and I've had this discussion with Matt Tim about doing audits, and I really just kind of decided, you know, it's just so risky. You go out there, the viewer, you want views, it's no doubt. You go out there and you create a ruckus and get arrested and everything, you're going to get a lot of views. I mean, I have one video on here right now, which I did not do. It was my friend, Police State New Jersey, who's about 30 miles south of me, went out and exposed a, I want to say a dumb cop from Tangier. He absolutely was a dumb cop, and his own superior came and made him even look even dumber. And that video is like, I don't know, it's over 100,000 views on it now. I brought a lot of people to my channel. I'm not so sure those are the people I want on my channel. I'm over 4,700 subscribers right now, but I put the videos out and they're only doing about 300, 400, 500 views on it. But you go out and you get arrested, and now that money comes out of your pocket. You have to go defend yourself. You got to take time off from work. It can cause a problem with you in work. And then you're on there on YouTube begging for money. Is it worth it? I think when you go out, you have to, like, sometimes I've been berated where they say, oh, you coward, you didn't stand up to them, you didn't this, you didn't that. Well, you know what? I tell you what, pal. Send me $10,000, and I'll put that in the bank, and I'll use that for legal fees where I'll challenge them and get myself arrested. Because when you get arrested, you have to hire a lawyer, and there's no lawyer standing up to help you. Now, the other downside of doing audits, First Amendment auditor, is you go out and you start video recording things, particularly federal buildings, military bases. You will get a knock on your door. Some guys from a federal agency will knock on your door. It'll be two guys, they'll show up, and they'll want to talk to you. It happens to all of us. It's happened to me. I won't talk to them. And if you don't talk to them, they'll go talk to your employer. They'll go track down all your relatives and talk to them. That's what happens. That's what happens in America when you try to hold public officials accountable. So now you're probably asking, well, you know, what are you going to do now? You know, you don't want to go point cameras at people. You don't want to cause trouble or nothing. I think... And I've mentioned this to S.A. Ecstasy Prez. I'm not saying it right, but he was out there doing a video of some homeless people, and the cops are harassing them. And he went out there and baited them. He dressed up like a homeless person, and the cop came over, giving him a hard time and stuff. And I said, bravo to you. You are exposing the crooks, these government crooks, these bums that harass and pick on people who are weak and can't stand up to them. And that's what we need more of, which gets to my point that I think some of the senior auditors out there need to start migrating away from pointing cameras at cops and trying to get an arousal out of them. Instead, using that camera and your audience to expose their bad behavior, their crookedness, because there's so much crookedness going on around there. When you see a cop misbehaving, bothering somebody, you stop and start recording them and document what they're doing. And yeah, that's the things that need to be done. We need to start exposing, because whether you like Donald Trump or not, one thing Donald Trump has brought up is that the swamp is deep. Is thick. It's thick with corruption, and it's thick with nepotism. And that brings me to the subject here in Monmouth County, Matt. I mean, one of the things I found out from doing videos and auditing and then checking up on who these people were that I was auditing is I started to realize they're all connected. They're all connected. They get the jobs because they know somebody. They're getting raises because they're buddies with the guy that gives them the raise. And that's the stuff that we have to start going out there. We have to use the power of the camera, the power of our voice, and the power of social media to go after them. And really, that's what I'm about now. I'm about using the power of social media, my observations, and my big mouth. And one thing I'm good at, I got a big mouth, and I seem to stir up trouble. And I've learned that these thugs, these nepotists, they don't like people like me. They don't like people like me because I call them out, I question them, I talk about them, I expose them. And I've come to learn that these higher level people, they don't want to be exposed. And when you have an audience, that power that you get from that audience motivates them and makes them behave. And I've been doing it. Okay, every time there's a cop here in this town, in this county, that gets arrested for something, I'm on there flapping my jaws about, calling it out. And I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm at this stage of life, what are they going to do to me? I think there's a lot of you people sitting there at home on your couch and you're reading the story in the newspaper about something going on, and you're shaking your head and you feel helpless and you don't know what to do about it, and you look for people like me or other people like my friend Matt Tim, who talk about things. Matt talks a little more about governmental stuff, and I focus more on law enforcement, because law enforcement is, I don't want to say they're crooked, but they definitely, there definitely is two sets of rules around here. I just put a video up the other day of I caught a Homedale Township official. I don't believe he was a cop. I think he was a code enforcement officer or something. And I caught him without his seatbelt on. And I go and I look at Homedale Township Police Department and the other police departments on their Facebook page, and all they talk about is, you know, buckle up, click it or else, hang the phone up, do this, don't do that. And they're out there doing the same thing. All the time I see cops out there without their seatbelt on. I catch them once in a while talking on the phone. But then the phone thing, they'll claim, oh, it's business. It's okay if they talk on their phone because it's business. But if we're on the phone talking business, that's not okay. They got a little campaign going on here in New Jersey. It's the Distracted Driving Month. I'm shifting gears here a little bit. I'm just kind of freestyling today. See where the conversation takes me, but it's all about the First Amendment and how the First Amendment, free speech, can fight back against corruption and bad police and bad government, and you know, pointing the cameras at police and showing them how they don't respect our First Amendment right is one aspect of the First Amendment, but the other aspect is our free speech. And the First Amendment really is our biggest weapon against the government. And who is the government? The government is people that we elect, people that we don't elect, people that get appointed. But the First Amendment is our strongest weapon against them. And they don't like it. That's why, you know, you point a camera at the cop and he's trying to body slam you. That's why you point a camera at a federal building or some federal workers, all of a sudden you got the DHS, or if you say something, you got the DHS that banging at your door. Just go ask my friend Dee Starks. She said something just out of jest. She wasn't meaning it. She just had a little to drink and was flapping her jaws about Hillary. And next thing you know, she's got the DHS banging at her door. They want to know what she's up to. So they really, folks, they really don't like free speech. They really don't like the First Amendment. They want to regulate the First Amendment. I think that's the safest way to put it. They want to regulate it. They want to regulate. As long as you're not pointing the camera at them or talking about them, they don't care. But the minute you start talking about them, they've got a problem with that. And it's different degrees of how they're going to fight back against what you say. And you know, that's one of the things that I'm doing. So getting back to the thing about the distracted driving campaign going on in New Jersey, all the Facebook pages, which has become nothing more than a bulletin board for propaganda, where these cops put all these things up. Look at the great things we're doing, which is they're always targeting children. Look at the great things that we're doing. They'll never talk about the bad things they're doing. So this thing about the, you know, distracted driving kills. Yes, it does kill. There's no argument about that. I'm not going to argue it. I know somebody who cracked his car because he was on the phone and wasn't paying attention. I'm not one of those ones that generally talks on his phone when he goes down the road. Sometimes I take the call while I'm driving, and then I pull over because I have problems hearing. So it's difficult for me to hear with the road noise most of the time. So that's why that's one of the big reasons I don't talk on my phone while I'm driving. It's just difficult for me to hear because I have hearing problems. So getting on the subject of the distracted driving, I go to several of the police department's Facebook page where they post this little campaign that we're going to have increased enforcement. So I asked several of these police departments, probably about 10 of them, maybe more, I don't remember, I didn't keep count, as to how much money they received from the state of New Jersey for the additional manpower that they would have to go out there and drive around. And of all the police departments that I asked on Facebook, only one responded. Englishtown Police, my friend over there, and I call him a friend now, as friend as I can possibly be with a police officer, is my friend Peter Cook, Chief Peter Cook at Englishtown. He immediately responded. I don't think I had that posting up there 5 minutes, and he responded back and said, we received $5,500 from the state of New Jersey to help pay for the additional manpower and learning and educational needs. That's what they got. None of the other police departments would respond. I would have to do an open request and force them to respond. So again, these cops out there, they don't want transparency. They don't want you to know the truth of what's going on. And that's where the First Amendment comes in to combat that. For those of you who don't know, the distracted driving is a campaign that the state of New Jersey does for the purpose of generating revenue. The state makes a lot of money off these tickets, a lot of money for doing nothing. So the town goes out, issues the ticket, they split the money. The town gets 50%, I think it is, and the state gets 50% when it's a state violation. If it's a local ordinance, it goes to the town. So they know that if they give this town $5,500, that they will maybe generate $20,000 in tickets, and it's a win-win situation for the town, because the town gets the money to pay for the officer to sit in the car and drive around and stalk motorists. And it's a win-win situation for the state, because the state doesn't have to do anything to get that money. And they do this all under the guise of safety. So they're peeing on your leg and they're telling you it's raining. But when you question them about the two sets of rules, I don't know if any of you people ever looked inside a police car, but I can tell you what most of them have in there. They've got a two-way radio. They got a light bar box there, switch to turn the light bars on and off. They've got most of them have radars, a unit sitting there that sits up on the dashboard and tells them how many miles over the speed limit you're going. They all have, most of them, I want to say all the towns now, all have mobile laptop computers, plate readers. They don't all have plate readers, but many of them do. And tell me that's not a distraction to driving. That this cop is going down the road and he keeps looking at your plate. How many times have you had, I know I've had it to me where a cop pulls up behind me and you know he's running my plate number. They sit there, they go down the road and they just type in your number to see if he got anything, got a hit on you. Tell me that's not a distraction. They can talk on their own phones when they're driving, because if it's business, if it's police business, they're exempt. It's okay for them. So how do you prove that? How do we know they're not talking to their wife? How do we know they're not talking to their friends? We don't. So it's two sets of rules that they're riding around out there doing all this stuff, and then the other they tell us to wear our seatbelts. Wear your seatbelt. Wear your seatbelt. I wear my seatbelt. I wear my seatbelt simply because I don't want to go through the windshield. I know what it looks like when somebody's head hits the windshield or chest slams up against the business I was in. I got to see. I saw what it looked like. It's not pretty. And why would you not want to wear a seatbelt? You get in an accident, it may save your life. But we all know how many times any of you out there have seen cops driving around there with no seatbelt on. I see it all the time. It's getting difficult now because they're all putting their illegal tint on the window to block it out so you can't see. But a lot of them drive around without the seatbelt. Why? Because it's uncomfortable for them. Most of them are all a bunch of big guys, and with all their military gear on, it's uncomfortable for that seatbelt to be on, so they don't put it on. They snap it on behind them, and They drive around. But yet you and I, if we want to go down the road without our seatbelt on, we get a ticket. It's nothing to do with safety. It's all about revenue. Revenue generation. It's everything. It's all about it. And I would submit to everybody, imagine if everybody just obeyed the law, obeyed all these dopey laws that we have to abide by, and nobody broke any laws, robbed banks, or beat anybody up, or stole cars, or broke into houses, or anything like that. The government would shut down. It'd go broke. It depends on the money. It's addicted to that money. And I pointed that out with Homedale Township Police. They would sit out there in this one road all the time, in the middle of the road, stalking motorists. And in the meanwhile, houses were getting broken. I did a story about it. It was like, I did it back in February about this. Why your house is getting broken. And all of a sudden, somebody's house, a month later, somebody's house, more than a month and a half later, somebody's house is getting broken into, and the police said they responded within minutes, but the perpetrators got away. And you get the mayor, the deputy mayor is touting them as being heroes. Look at the great job they did. They didn't do a great job. They screwed up. They're busy stalking motors when they should have been patrolling the neighborhood. You know, if you got 5, 6 cars out there in Homedale Township, how often do you think it would take for them to patrol all the streets? There's not that many streets in Homedale. So maybe they could go down that street every half hour. They don't want to talk about it, but I talked about it, and that's why I get back to about the First Amendment. It is our tool against these clowns, against this nonsense. To fight back against the propaganda. I mean, the cops are using the First Amendment to portray them as something that they really aren't, which is these great guys riding around protecting and serving us and tying little kids' shoes on the way. When they see a kid on the side, they're stopping and tying his shoe for him. They're handing out the ice cream cones and, you know, that kind of nonsense. Oh, they're going to pitch a ball at a baseball game. I saw one the other day. It was I think it was Bricktown. I thought it was a guy cop. Turns out it's a female cop. But she had one, you know, she had the butch haircut. Threw me off. And she stopped to tie the shoe on this little black boy. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. Am I not supposed to talk about color? Well, I did. And the first thing came to my mind is, well, that's nice. She's giving a positive image. I like that. But then I thought to myself, this kid's probably about 6 years old. I don't know if he had his helmet on. I'll have to go back and look at that. But anyway, I'm thinking about this kid. I said, you know, this will be the same little black boy when he's 20 years old that gets pulled over and yanked out of his car and jacked up by the cops and searched and have his car searched and they'll try to escalate it into something that it isn't and get an arrest. It's just, it's BS. It's absolute BS. And that's why we need the First Amendment. It's going to cut through all this. And I'm going to talk about all these things. Because it's just, I can't stand it. It makes my head explode. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only one that sees this out there. That the BS that the police are doing. And I could get into other government agencies, the BS that they pump out on Facebook. Facebook really is just one big propaganda and governmental propaganda media. Now, some of these towns, some of these police departments don't like it. They don't like when you respond back. And there's people out there, you see me, I follow them, and you guys follow what I know you guys are watching me, what I post. And I say things to these police departments, and they say something. I go, well, you know, you took that K9 dog and showed everybody how smart that K9 dog is. You know, they get a bunch of little third graders there, and they do a little doggy demonstration of how the dog can sit still and not budge until he gets the secret command word. And all the dog wants is that ball for some reason. But they don't go back and show the little kids how the dog bites your arm and rips it off while the cop is kicking you in the sides. Because you're not following commands, and the reason you're not following command because you have this excruciating pain in your arm, and you got tunnel vision, and you're focusing. And I did a video on it. I did a video on it with Howell Township Police. They wanted to win some kind of contest or something to get money to get more dogs so they can go out there and circumvent the Fourth Amendment. And I put a little video on there of this black lady who's out minding her business. She's going to throw some garbage in a dumpster, and all of a sudden she encounters a canine dog, and the dog takes her right down, biting the crap out of her arm, ripping it apart, and it's taking the cops forever to get the dog off her. There's another story I did. It was down in Atlantic City, I believe it was. The canine dog is biting the crap out of this guy. The guy had to get, like, I don't know, it was a couple hundred stitches. This dog ripped him to pieces while the cops are kicking him and punching him. It's like the dog's got to get in on the action now too. It's not the whole fleet of cops on duty that night. They got to show up and, you know, run up to the scene. You see the scene all the time. The cop is two cops are working on one guy, and all of a sudden, like, three other cops run up to the scene and start kicking the guy. And the poor guy, you know, they keep yelling, "Don't resist, don't resist." And the guy, all he knows is he's getting killed. That's all he knows. He's not following commands. Who can follow command under that circumstance? And that ended up costing taxpayers $3 million. Now, the police don't talk about that to the little kids. They don't say, "Hey, little kids, you know, when you're driving and you're an adult and you're of color, that we're probably going to try to escalate the motor vehicle stop, and they're going to pull you out, and then if you move the wrong way and give us any justification, we're going to start beating you up, and the dog's going to jump in and start biting your arm to pieces." No, they don't do that, because that's the truth. And what you learn through the Facebook is that they don't want to talk about the truth. They give you half-truths. And if anybody's ever been to court, you know what half-truths mean. They give you half-truths. So I guess I could say that I'm going to fill in the other half. And if you're still with me listening, that's great. For those people that are out there following along with me, that's great. And I'm probably going to end this conversation now. I figure, you know, I don't know how long these talks are going to be. Maybe I'll have a couple subjects. Today it's just going to be about the First Amendment. Probably the next broadcast, I'll go down an array of subjects. And I don't really care if I have all 4,700 subscribers listen to this, or if I just have 2 people. I really don't care. And I'm going to quote something that I wrote down. It's by a broadcaster who I admire. Anybody ever heard of Michael Savage? I listen to him almost on a daily basis. But he said something the other day that was very interesting, and I'm going to quote him on what he said. He says, "It's not the size of the audience. That doesn't matter. What matters is the size of the truth." And I'm telling the truth as I see it. And I hope that you're there shaking your head and say, "Yeah, that's right." So for you, those of you who are in your car listening to me, or sitting at home, or maybe at work, you got a little downtime and you listen to me, because I think sometimes listening without video has a little more impact now, because when you put the video into it, it's distracting. It distracts. So I'm just going to do broadcasts. I'm just going to talk. I'm going to talk about the different subjects. We're going to talk about the other half of the half-truths. Maybe I should name the show that. The Other Half-Truth. What do you think? I got to come up with a name for the show. What am I supposed to call it? The New Jersey Exposed presents the Gunnison Undercover show? I don't know. A lot of people know me as Gunnison Undercover. A lot of people followed me, know me from the other channel, which, got unjustly taken down, and I lost a lot of videos. And I'll try to finish up with this story here. Last summer, Matt Tim, who is a dear friend of mine, and he's become like the son I don't have. He's a young, brilliant man. Those wheels in his head are always turning, constantly turning. And for whatever reasons, when I talk, it makes those wheels in his head turn even more. He'll always call me up and say, I was thinking about something you said the other day. And then I kid with him and say, Matt, you ought to write down all the things you think about. And he said, words to the effect, it's not enough time in the day to write down all the things that he thinks about. But anyway, I met Matt Tim through YouTube. He was a follower. And he used to make comments once in a while, and I caught notice of it. And I had a channel, and I started watching this channel. And I said, I like some of the things that this guy's talking about. And I thought maybe I could bring him on board. Maybe I could tweak him a little bit, and I could do a show. And that came to fruition. We started doing that live broadcast, and you know, first night you got 3 people watching, maybe got up to 10 people, and after a couple of weeks we're getting up to 25, 30 people that were tuning in, and I'm watching to see how long they stay in. And I was amazed by the fact that there's people from Texas. I had people from Australia, Ireland, or out that way, Scotland, whatever, England, whatever it was. I was just amazed at the reach that I had, that it just wasn't about local people, because I really was just talking, Matt and I were just talking about local issues. But the reach was worldwide. And that amazed me. And one of the things that amazed me, and I hope to have this again, is we were down there at Tim Hortons donut store, which is closed now, went out of business. And some people came down. There was a couple, a man and a husband and wife came down. They were local. They came down, they wanted to meet us. They wanted to watch us do the live show. And they said to us, you know, we listen to you every Saturday that you're on. We like what you have to say. You talk about things that we're interested in. And I was amazed by this. I was amazed that 2 people that I don't even know were interested in the topics that I was talking about. That they were willing to get in their car and come down and want to meet me. They bought me a coffee or a donut or something. They bought Tim something. They just wanted to sit there and watch. And there was another guy come in there. It was a young guy. He looked like he was in his early 30s maybe. He came in and he says, oh yeah, and I think it was the son of this couple. He says, oh, my parents listen to you. That's how I know about you. And he came down and wanted to see who we were. Again, I was just amazed by that. And by the time before the show got the plug pulled on it, we were getting on average 30 people a week watching and listening to me bringing up topics, and Matt Tim using his academic brain. I don't have an academic brain. I've got the man on the street brain. You know, I'm the guy, I have the old eyes. Old eyes see things that the young academic mind does not see. And I think it was a good match for he and I. And I guess I'll leave you with this, that, you know, I'm going to do these little broadcasts, different subjects. Feel free to post on the messages there, topics you want to talk about, complaints, whatever. I don't care. And at some point, Matt, Tim, and I are going to start doing a live broadcast again. We just have logistics problems right now. Matt is having major logistic problems. I'm having logistic problems where to do this at. And when Tim Hortons went down, it kind of really screwed things up, because that really was a nice little place for us to do it. They all knew me in there. I didn't have any problems. It wasn't too noisy in there. So we're at some point in the near future, we're going to start doing that live show again, and hopefully get back to the grandeur that I once had with Gunnison Undercover. Unfortunately, as many of you know, Gunnison Cover is not rising from the rubble. It has been taken down. YouTube doesn't care about you or anybody else, how many followers you have. If you violate some kind of policy and you don't respond to that violation the proper way, which was a mistake I made, it's a lesson learned. I didn't respond properly to the copyright infringement complaint, and they took the channel down. I thought maybe they suspended it because they give conflicting messages. I thought it'd be back up by March. It wasn't back up. And then end of March, I inquired YouTube, and they claimed it was reinstated, but it didn't come back. So anyway, all those great videos and things that I had on there, they're gone. They fell into the YouTube abyss. So lesson learned, back all your videos up, because all it takes is one parasite out there to cause a problem for you, and you can get your channel pulled off the air. And one of the things that doesn't help is when you go monetize on YouTube, they clamp down on you a little bit more as to how you talk and what you say and things like that. So I qualify for monetization. I'm probably going to do it, and I'll just be a little more careful about how I talk and things that we talk about, and not get caught up in that nonsense of last summer. But that's the way it goes. You live, you learn, and out of the rubble and the smoke and destruction rises New Jersey Exposed, and your humble little correspondent, Gunnison Undercover, has risen back again, and Matt Tim is still here with me, and he will be showing up one of these days soon. Alright, so that's pretty much all the rambling I'm going to do right now. I'm not sure when I'm going to do another broadcast. My schedule is pretty full, and I have to find time when mentally and physically I feel like doing it. That's the biggest challenge, the mental part of it. Find the time, but find the mental, you just don't jump out of bed and talk about things. I think about it, and I kind of try to figure out what I'm going to do. But today was sort of a freestyle, off the cuff. No real big plan as to what I was going to talk about beyond the First Amendment. I'm sure next time we'll be talking about other things. I'll talk about events, things that the police are doing. Talk about what other auditors are doing. Talk about what our local government is doing. Those are the things that we're going to talk about.